This example is asking us to determine a limit given a graph over here on the right. So specifically they're asking us to determine the limit as x approaches 2 of f of x given this graph on the right here. So whenever I'm doing a limit problem given a graph, my steps kind of look like this. They're always the same. Step 1 is I draw what I call my wall. So I draw the wall at whatever x value it is they're asking me to approach. So I'm looking at x equals 2. So I come over and I draw my wall here at x equals 2. Step 2 of the process for me is to determine what type of limit it is they're asking me to find. And so when you look over here on this limit problem, you'll notice there's nothing up in our exponent on that 2. So when we don't see one of those pluses or minuses up there, we're being asked to find an overall limit. Well, the secret to an overall limit is really the fact that you're going to be asked to find a left-hand limit and a right-hand limit, and you're going to have to compare those. So step 3 of our process now is we need to go find first what is our left-hand limit. So I call that LHL for short. So what happens as I'm approaching that wall from the left direction? So we draw along our graph from the left direction. We make that jump because we don't care about it. We're still following along the graph, and it looks like I am running into the wall that I drew right here. And so that is at a y value of -1. So from the left direction, it looks like I am headed towards a y value of -1. I then have to play the same game from the right. So I also need to then find my right-hand limit. So as I draw along the graph in the right direction, what does it look like I'm headed towards? So I come back over to my graph and I draw along my graph and along my graph, and it looks like I run into the wall right there at that same place at a y value of -1. So now what we need to do after we've done that is we now need to just compare those answers. So are those the same answer or are they different? Well, what we have here is -1 is equal to -1. So what that tells us, when the left-hand limit equals the right-hand limit, it tells us that our overall limit is that exact same y value, a y value of -1. And remember, when we're dealing with limits, we never care if there's an open circle or a dot or where any of that is. We just care, what does it look like I'm headed towards? Where does it look like I run into the wall?